So in the last segment, we talked about what ICE officers can and cannot do, what they're authorized to do, what they're not authorized to do when approaching an individual and questioning them. I want to go over what steps a person who does not have legal status in the United States, what rights that they have when it comes to being confronted by an ICE officer. And of course, this also applies to everyone, whether you're a legal permanent resident and a citizen as well, because they are approaching citizens, they are approaching permanent legal residents. And in order to do so, they have to have a reasonable suspicion. They just can't just be walking up to individuals. But when a citizen or a non-citizen or a permanent resident is confronted with an ICE officer, it can be a very intimidating situation. It could be one where one does not know what to say and what to do. And so I want to go over here what are some of the questions you can ask when being approached by an ICE officer. So if, let's say, for example, the ICE officer stops you, you're walking in the street and he stops you, and you're a US citizen. Clearly, you can answer the questions truthfully. If they ask you if you're a US citizen, you can answer these questions because it'll avoid undue delay and suspicion on their part. However, what if you're not a US citizen? Or what if, for example, a person has had prior contacts with the criminal justice system, even to the point where maybe it just got, it just got resolved with an infraction. There you have to be a little bit more careful in how to answer these officers. And quite frankly, if you say something that will prejudice you or that will in some way compromise you, then you're stuck with that statement that you gave to the ICE officer. So if an ICE officer approaches you, for example, and asks you, are you a US citizen? And let's just say you're not. I think the first question that's important to ask is, first of all, ask them, am I being detained or am I free to leave? If they say that you're free to leave, just walk away calmly. Don't answer any questions. Just go about your business without any confrontations. Always be respectful. Always be attentive. Do not try to lie or run away. Those are mistakes. So the first thing is to ask, am I free to leave? And if so, walk away calmly. If they say that you're not free to leave at that point, you may exercise your right to remain silent, and you should, especially if you have any question about your immigration status that can compromise you. For example, if they ask you, where were you born and you weren't born in the United States, or what is your immigration status and you don't have legal immigration status in this country, or they ask you, how did you enter into the US? All these questions, you can exercise your right to remain silent, and that's what you should do. You also have the right to ask them right off the bat, well, what's the reason for the stop? They can't just randomly stop people. They have to have reasonable cause to believe that you've committed some kind of immigration violation. And so they just can't randomly stop people on the street. And that alone may be enough to put them on guard to show them that, that what your rights are. If the officers ask you to present any kind of documentation, it's very important to keep certain things in mind. First of all, you don't have to carry your passport if you're not a US citizen. You don't have to carry your immigration papers if you have an immigration case in court. You don't need to show this to them, and you're not obligated to show that to them.